And welcome to part 2 of making your own e-11 blaster using my TK to hold this up, or I like to call it my CB for cardboard. Anyways, so this other side, I'm not going to talk about the stuff that I already talked about. It's really just this and this piece, and then an extra piece that goes up here. And the scope, because I totally forgot to do that in the last one. So real quick, the scope. Now, you can do this with cardboard tubing if you really want. I just use foam because it's way more nice, and I really did not want to have any cardboard whatsoever on this prop. Because, of course, as we all know, cardboard has these little corrugations that you can very easily see, which, again, you can't really hide it if it's on the outside. But you can use cardboard tubing if you want, or cereal box cardboard, or whatever you have. I like foam because it's much more sturdy and it glues on very well. Alright, so, and also the materials list and the tools list are going to be the same on this video, of course. So I took the thinner EVA foam, did the basic, shape of the tube, and then, my bad. And then just glued it on. I kind of did like sections on the rack. Now, this is technically supposed to slightly taper down. I just don't have the skill to trust myself with shaving it down like that. So you could just have a tube and then do the same exact thing with a smaller one and then a little cap from a glue stick. So what I did with a tube to kind of cover it up is I glued a little circle on the inside of either tube. You didn't really need to do it with this one, but I just did it just in case. Glued a cap and then, or circle to cap it off, and then an actual cap. I need to fix that. So yeah, that's what I did for the tube, and eventually what I'm going to do is on the inside here, I'm going to cut out a little piece of plastic, probably from a leftover soda bottle. Print out a little red and black reticle, glue it on the inside, and then glue it on here. Same thing with the Hansler counter. I'm going to get a piece of plastic, glue some numbers on the inside of it, and glue it down. So, speaking of which, what I did from on this side, I'm going to take the magazine out. And that's another cool thing. Not a lot of props I've seen has a magazine that can come out. And if they do, it has a little battery inside of it, so it's kind of necessary. And technically it is supposed to have a little battery or charging or whatever kind of thing in it. I just didn't have the room to do that, so I don't, again, it doesn't matter. It's on the inside of the prop. Excuse me. So, cool thing about this is you don't need to do what I did here, and that's cut up a little ridge. The thin stuff and the thicker stuff end up completely evening out to where they're both the same thickness. So if you have the thinner and the thicker stuff, you can take a thick sheet of foam and then a thinner sheet of foam, glue them together, and then it pops right in without having an awkward ridge. Of course, it's only if you really decide to make the box how it should be, so I guess that's a decent way to do that, to measure what the inside diameter of this box should be, is if you take a thin piece and a thicker piece, or if you just if you take two of the thicker pieces, cut one in half, it should be the right size. Now, for the box, I do recommend the thinner stuff because this box should not be as big as it is. It's just kind of had to be because it's just thick. So what I did, of course, is I took 2 panels and then 2 smaller panels and glued them together. I think we all know how to make a rectangular prism or a box. So, yeah, that's really all I did, and then added this little piece of foam right here for an extra greebly. And then I kind of drew out the general shape. Again, I feel like this might be a little bit bigger than the actual magazine. I don't know. I don't care that much, to be honest. It looks close enough. And of course, the box should be deep enough and have enough friction to where whenever you pop it in, it slides in there and it stays put. Now, my box bulges a little bit because I made mine just a hair too small, but it's okay because it's foam and it can do that. So that's the magazine. I hope that was clear enough. It's basically just making a box that some other pieces can stick into. Now, this next piece is completely optional. You don't need it, especially the power cylinders that I am going to eventually make. The Hansler counter. Now, that, as far as I know, again, if I'm wrong, you can politely correct me. As far as I can tell, the Hansler counter really just measures how much battery life you have left, or charge that you have left. And I kind of figured that was reasonable because unlike a normal magazine, where you can actually see how many bullets you have left, or you can feel how many bullets you physically put in there, you can't do that with a battery. So I kind of figured it is appropriate to have a little counter that tells you how much you have left. I could be wrong. Again, I don't know. But again, this is optional because some of the e-11s in the original movie did not have the Hansel counter or the power cylinder, so you don't have to put it on there. I personally like it on there because most of the stormtroopers were left-handed in there on purpose, and so whenever they're holding it, all of the details on this side, not on this side, because that's where the magazine is and everything. It just makes it look nice. So what I did is I took a sheet, a little blank, really. I don't know why I said a sheet, but a little blank. Glued it to the side of the pipe to where it's halfway on the scope and halfway on the pipe. Cut out the box, and then I cut out a little thinner piece of foam, glued it on there, and then glued two little extensions on here. For the power cylinders, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get two markers, two pipes, glue it on here, glue a little thin piece of plastic or something on the tip here, on the front of the two, and then behind the pipes, there's a bunch of wiring that comes out and then is stuck into the Hansel counter. I hope everyone knows how that would work. You just glue two pieces of pipe, and then it's supposed to like stick into something, which I'll show eventually, but really it's just two pipes with a wire coming out the back and stuck to the Hansel counter. And that's really it for the e-11 build. Again, make it smaller or bigger, whatever you want to do to it. It's just kind of a basis guide for anyone that wants to make one that's reasonably accurate, if you even want to call it that. Says the guy that didn't make a trigger. And then, of course, the last step is to paint it, then weather it a little bit. But yeah, if you want to make the thing flip out, go ahead and do that. This is basically just the basics of how to make it. And it's really sturdy. That's what I really like about foam and how big this is, because I can wave this around a lot, and it's just not coming out. So, or like the handle isn't ungluing. You know what I mean? It's very sturdy. I can drop this. I can throw it at my helmet if I wanted to. I can throw it at my bed, and it's fine. But yeah, if you were to use way more sturdy material, it's even better. I also like foam because you don't break foam, so yeah, it doesn't shatter or anything like that. The nicer thing about it is you can make a ton of these for really cheap, and if you ever make like a fan film, you can really go through magazines, or at least make two, because then you can take it out, drop it, act like you pull out another one, and then during like cut scenes and whatnot, you can put this in your other pocket. It's great because now you can take this out, do a little like throwing it thing or whatever. Yeah. Alright, I think I rambled enough. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah.